Imagine a massive, just like a super high budget television production.
Right, the kind with incredible sets and costumes.
Exactly. And on screen, you're watching this intensely dark story. I mean, we're talking brutal political murders, forced marriages, and this terrifyingly ruthless military general who just slaughters his enemies without even blinking.
It's heavy stuff. Very mature, very
Yeah,
intense.
it's a dark narrative. But then you look off screen, the female lead who has to navigate all of this, who has to stand opposite this grown man and act out these deeply complex and sometimes, intimate dynamics, she is a 16-year-old girl.
Which is just, it's jarring, honestly.
It really is. So today we are taking a deep dive into a casting controversy that is currently just tearing the internet in half. We're talking about the 2026 Chinese historical drama Key to the Phoenix Heart.
Which you might also see people calling Kuigu online.
Right, Kuei-gyu. And we're unpacking this because it's such a fascinating case study in cognitive dissonance for the audience, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Because you're looking at a piece of media that basically exists in two wildly different realities at the exact same time.
Which is exactly why we gathered this massive, really diverse stack of sources for you today. We want to get to the bottom of how a show can generate such intense, real-world discomfort, but then simultaneously deliver what so many people are calling a total masterclass in suspense.
Yeah, the political intrigue is just off the charts.
It really is. So we're pulling from these incredibly heated fan debates on the Fark Dramas fans subreddit.
Which got very intense.
Oh, super intense. We've also got a literally perfect 10 out of 10 review from my drama list, plus these really intricate character relationship charts mapped out by Ton Borde.
Those charts are lifesavers, honestly.
They really are. And we even have actual translated scene transcripts directly from IQIYI to see what the script itself is actually doing.
And just to be clear, our mission today isn't to, tell you where to stand on the real-world controversy.
Right, exactly.
We just want to explore the mechanics of it. Like, how does a production deal with this massive, uncomfortable backlash before it even airs, but then deliver a story so gripping that viewers literally cannot look away?
Okay, let's unpack this. And we have to start with the central tension that is just absolutely dominating all the discussion boards online right now.
Yeah, before we even touch the plot, we have to talk about the casting reality, because it just colors every single thing about this show.
It really does.
So the core issue is the two leads. The male lead is this fearsome general named Xiao Wei, played by actor Hu Minghao, and he's cast opposite the female lead, actress Aimee, who plays Shi Ziayu.
Right.
And the elephant in the room that has fans sounding all these alarms is the age gap. Hu Minghao is 11 years older than Aimee.
And the detail that takes this from, a mild curiosity to a full-blown controversy is her actual age.
Yeah, that's the kicker.
Like, at the time of filming this incredibly dark show, Aimee was only 16 or 17.
A literal minor.
Yes, legally a minor. And when you read through the Reddit threads, the discomfort is not just some fringe opinion. It is palpable. It is widespread.
Right, because fans are generally super supportive of both of these actors individually, right?
Exactly. They like them in their own careers. But putting them together in a romantic pairing, it's just setting off major alarm bells. Redditors are explicitly saying they are dreading any intimate scenes.
Because of the power imbalance.
Exactly. They point out the severe power imbalance that naturally exists between a guy approaching his late 20s and a teenager. And it doesn't matter how, quote-unquote, innocent or delicate the directing tries to be.
Well, and what's so fascinating is how articulate the fan base is about why this actually matters.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not just complaining about a number.
It's deeper than that.
It is. It's about emotional and mental development.
Mhm.
Like, a teenager simply does not have the same lived experience or agency or just professional capital as a seasoned adult actor on a set.
Exactly.
So when you force them into this romantic dynamic, it inherently creates vulnerability.
And I saw this specific moment referenced in our sources that really just poured gasoline on this fire.
Oh, the behind-the-scenes video.
Yes. This script reading video popped up on social media during pre-production, and fans were pointing out that Ayamira was allegedly, snuggled up against Minghao's shoulder with his arm wrapped around her.
Which is just yikes.
Right. Now, a few commenters tried to defend it. They were like, well, she looks relaxed. They're just building chemistry for the show.
Sure, playing devil's advocate.
But The overwhelming pushback was incredibly sharp. Like one Redditor said, and I thought this was so spot on, it is absolutely not the teenager's job to set professional boundaries.
100%.
The adults in the room, the management, her parents, the production team, the director, they should never have allowed a minor to be put in that position just to market the show's chemistry.
Right. But then, we have to look at the counter-narrative, too. The defense that's circulating in these same
Yeah, what are
threads.
they saying?
Well, from the male lead's perspective, people are quick to point out that Hao Minghao reportedly signed his contract for this drama way before the female lead was even cast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So professionally, he likely had absolutely no choice in who his co-star was going to be. He can't just break a lucrative, legally binding contract just because they brought a teenager on board later.
Wow. I mean, that puts him in such an incredibly awkward position professionally.
It really does. And on top of that, you have users who really know the inner workings of the Chinese entertainment industry chiming in. And they explain that, unfortunately, the industry often just does not care about real-world age appropriateness.
It's all about the look.
Exactly. The executives just want a specific aesthetic. If they think two actors look pretty together in costume, the actual developmental age gap is just treated as a total non-issue by the production companies.
See, I have to push back hard on that industry normalization, though.
Go for it.
Because, I mean, it's like casting a high school sophomore opposite a 28-year-old professional in a corporate romance. No matter how tasteful the directing is, you cannot erase that real-world gap from the viewer's mind.
Yeah, your brain knows what it's seeing.
Exactly. You are watching a child pretend to have the emotional maturity of an adult, and it just creates this fundamental friction that is so hard to ignore.
Which raises such a huge question.
Mm.
How does a piece of media actually survive this kind of intense pre-release backlash?
Right, because normally this would tank a show.
Exactly. By all conventional metrics, a controversy that makes the audience this uncomfortable should just result in a massive drop in viewership. You'd think the show would be dead on arrival.
But then you look at platforms like My Drama List. We found this highly upvoted reviewer who gave the show a perfect 10 out of 10.
Perfect 10.
A perfect 10. And they didn't even ignore the controversy. They explicitly addressed the casting in the review. They acknowledged that, yes, the actress is undeniably young, but they admitted they were staying because the plot is incredible and the acting is phenomenal.
That's wild.
They're essentially saying the narrative is so intricate and so relentlessly suspenseful that they are literally compelled to look past the physical reality of the actors.
So if a story is powerful enough to override that level of initial skepticism, we really need to look at the mechanics of the script. We have to see what is actually happening on screen.
Yeah. So if the off-screen reality is setting off all these alarm bells, the on-screen reality has to be doing some incredibly heavy lifting. Let's dive into the world of Key to the Phoenix Heart and see what's actually happening in these episodes.
So the setup introduces us to our two leads, and they are in incredibly disparate positions of power.
Okay.
We have Xiao Wei, played by Hu Minghao. He's the heir of the Prince of Jinyan, but his reputation is what matters here. He is known throughout the capital as this ruthless, bloodthirsty military tyrant.
Just a total menace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And opposing him is Shi Jiayu, played by Ai Mi. She's the highly intelligent but very sheltered daughter of the respected Grand Tutor, Shi Weigi.
And man, their introduction to each other is just explosive.
Oh, it really is.
We actually have the translated transcript from episode 2 from IQIYI, and it paints such a vivid picture. There's this event called the Lantai Gathering.
Right, the poetry event.
Yeah, it's designed to be this refined poetry gathering for the court elite. You know, picture soft music, flowing silk robes. Very polite, very subtle political maneuvering.
Very civilized.
Very civilized. Right up until Xiao Wei just marches in with his fully armored troops.
He just crashes the party.
Totally crashes it. He bypasses all protocol and literally executes two high-ranking court officials, Adjutant Chen and Vice Minister Wei. He just slashes them down right there on the polished floor.
It is such a brutal, visceral, inciting incident. It just completely shatters the polite veneer of the court.
And the aftermath described in the transcript is wild. The whole court is in absolute panic. The Empress Dowager is furious. She's screaming about treason.
As you would.
Right. And Wei just calmly stands there amidst all the carnage. He sheathes his sword and coldly claims these two men, quote-unquote, committed suicide.
Wow.
Yeah. He announces that they were guilty of embezzling military funds and passing off faulty military equipment, and out of their, quote, profound guilt, they supposedly took their own lives.
I mean, that is just a staggering display of political intimidation. He's literally staring down the entire court, covered in blood, weapon in hand, basically daring a single person to call him a liar.
It's terrifying.
He is forcing them to accept his fabricated reality.
And then the absolute audacity of this guy as a, quote, reward for his recent military victories, he turns and demands to marry Shi Jiayu.
The Grand Tutor's daughter.
Yes. And Jiayu's reaction to this blood-soaked proposal, she climbs up onto a ledge and threatens to hang herself rather than marry this monster.
Which makes perfect sense from her perspective. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to explore the underlying motivation.
Yeah.
Why is Wei orchestrating this incredibly dangerous spectacle?
Right. Why make such a scene?
The brilliance of the writing reveals that Wei isn't actually the villain he's pretending to be. He's wearing a terrifying mask.
Oh, interesting.
He is secretly investigating that exact military armaments fraud he just mentioned. He didn't make that up. That fraud actually resulted in the horrific deaths of 30,000 of his own soldiers.
30,000 men.
30,000. His Beifu army wiped out at the border. He is carrying this crushing, unbearable weight of their deaths. Every single action he takes is driven by survivors' guilt and this desperate need for justice.
Wow.
So the reason he demands to marry Jiayu, it has absolutely nothing to do with romantic obsession.
It's not love at first sight.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It is pure, cold strategy.
Yeah.
He just wants to use her influential family connections and her proximity to the inner workings of the court to infiltrate the system and find the people who murdered his men.
Here's where it gets really interesting, you guys. Because think about the dramatic irony the audience is sitting with.
It's so thick.
You have the female lead, Jiayu, standing on a ledge, literally threatening to kill herself to avoid marrying the one man who is secretly the only righteous person in the entire room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She thinks she's escaping a tyrant, but she's fighting the only person trying to get justice for 30,000 dead soldiers.
It subverts that typical forced marriage trope so beautifully.
It really does. Usually that trope just relies on simple dominance, right?
A powerful guy just takes what he wants.
Yeah. But here, the writers give both characters immense agency, but it's based on completely different understandings of reality. It creates a tension that is, like, intellectual, not just romantic. But the show pushes the envelope even further, because by episode 5, they introduce a twist that just fundamentally rewrites their entire dynamic.
Oh my gosh, I was completely shocked by this turn when reading the notes. So, Wei is hunting for the engineer who designed the faulty weapons that caused the massacre of his men, right?
Right.
The twist, Jiayu is the one who unwittingly invented that faulty crossbow.
I mean, that is a staggering narrative hook.
Yeah.
We mentioned earlier that she's highly intelligent.
Right.
Well, her specific area of expertise is Mohist mechanical engineering. And for those unfamiliar, Mohism was this ancient Chinese philosophy. But in the context of these historical dramas, it basically translates to being a master of ancient steampunk.
Steampunk, I love that.
Right. She designs these complex gears, hidden triggers, advanced weaponry. She even carries this unique weapon called the Phoenix Bone Fan.
Which sounds so cool.
It looks like this delicate accessory, but it's loaded with intricate, lethal mechanisms.
She is basically Q from James Bond. She's the resident gadget master, just tinkering away in her workshop.
Pretty much.
But imagine if Q from James Bond suddenly discovered that the fancy experimental gadgets he was designing in his super secure lab were secretly being stolen, sabotaged, and then used to wipe out the entirety of MI6.
Oof.
That level of soul-crushing, paralyzing guilt is exactly what hits Jiayu when she realizes her designs were used to slaughter Wui's army.
And this revelation is the crucible that changes their dynamic.
Yeah.
It goes from a forced political arrangement into a genuine, desperate partnership. When Jiayu discovers what her creation did, she is just entirely destroyed by it. But Wei makes this critical choice. He doesn't hate her.
Which is surprising.
It is. But he sees the broader conspiracy. He realizes she was just a pawn. In fact, he actively works to hide her identity from his own Beifu army.
Oh, because they'd be furious.
Exactly. His soldiers are already on the verge of violent mutiny over him marrying the daughter of the Grand Tutor. If they find out she actually built the weapons that killed their brothers, they would tear her apart.
He is literally risking his own command and his own life to stand between her and the mob.
Yes.
And in return, she channels all of her engineering genius into repentance. She just dedicates herself to designing powerful, flawless new weapons specifically for him and his surviving army.
It really grounds their alliance in something tangible.
Yeah, it isn't a romance built on like sudden infatuation. It is an alliance forged in shared trauma and this mutual desperate need to fix a horrific wrong.
It anchors the story emotionally. However, we and GIU are not operating in a vacuum here.
Not at all.
To truly understand the peril they face, we have to pull back the lens and examine the broader political landscape. Specifically, we really need to dissect the machinations of GIU's father, Grand Tutor Shi Huai-gi, who is played by veteran actor Peter Ho.
Okay, this character is orchestrating a massive, multi-layered political clockwork.
He really is.
Like at first glance, you just assume he's a powerful conservative official taking orders from the Empress Dowager. But then episode 4 happens.
Oh, yeah.
The Grand Tutor is utterly ruthless. We're talking about a man who executes someone, a character named Candor, right in front of his own daughter, Gia, without even a second thought.
He's a man who values absolute power above all human connection. And this philosophy drives perhaps the most complex political manipulation in the entire narrative.
Tell him about the twist with the prince.
Oh, it's so good. The story reveals that the seemingly overlooked, quiet Prince Kia character named Li Mao is actually the Grand Tutor's illegitimate son with the late Emperor's consort Anne.
I mean, that is a dynasty-ending scandal just waiting to happen.
Is the ultimate trump card. The Grand Tutor is this hidden mastermind who manipulates the court to get Li Mao named as the regent. He is actively, secretly positioning his own illegitimate son to eventually take the throne.
Which brings us to this incredibly tragic triangle. The character relationship charts from Tonboride map this out perfectly, and it's honestly heartbreaking.
It really is.
So you have Wu Yi and Li Mao, and they aren't just acquaintances, they are best friends. They have this deep, loyal brotherhood forged in mutual respect.
Right.
And then you have Li Mao and Jiayu, and our sources indicate that before the events of the show, these two actually shared genuine, tender, romantic feelings for each other.
There was a real foundational connection between all three of them.
Exactly. So the Grand Tutor looks at the political board, and he forces Jiyu, his own daughter, to marry Wei. Now, I have to challenge the script here for a second.
Okay, what are you thinking?
On the surface, doesn't this sound exactly like a standard soapy love triangle? You know, two best friends fighting over the same girl just to create cheap drama?
I can definitely see why it appears that way on the surface. But the underlying mechanics are actually much darker than that.
How so?
Well, the Grand Tutor isn't creating a love triangle just to stir up youthful drama. He is engaging in the literal weaponization of loyalty.
Oh, wow.
He observes the board and realizes that Li Mao's deep friendship with Wei is a massive threat to his own absolute control over the future emperor. He cannot have the regent trusting a powerful military general more than he trusts his own father.
Ah, I see what you mean. So he needs Li Mao isolated.
Precisely. The Grand Tutor forces the marriage specifically to drive a wedge of jealousy and betrayal between the two best friends. He is betting that Li Mao's heartbreak over losing Jiayu to Wei will completely destroy their brotherhood.
Yeah, that's so messed up.
Right. He is using human connection, his daughter's body, and his son's heart as literal tools for political utility, just to ensure Li Mao becomes entirely dependent on him.
That cuts right to the core of it. It is so incredibly cynical. And while all this internal court sabotage is happening, the stakes just continue to escalate.
Oh, they ramp up significantly.
Yeah, by episode 6, the external threats are closing in rapidly.
The Empress Dowager, who has been quietly seething and losing power, decides to make a massive, violent move. She plots this large-scale assassination at the upcoming Double Ninth Festival ceremony.
And the location she chooses for this ceremony is the Monument of Loyalty.
Which is just awful.
It's the sacred monument dedicated to Wichi's 30,000 fallen soldiers.
The disrespect is just staggering.
It is. Her plan is to use this sacred ground to assassinate the new regent, Li Mao and Gio, and then frame Wichi for the entire massacre.
So the political threats are immense, but they are only half the battle. Because this raises an important question about Wei's internal struggle, which just adds a devastating layer of urgency to the narrative.
Right.
The ticking clock driving Wei isn't just about outsmarting the Empress Dowager or the Grand Tutor. It's a biological ticking clock.
And this detail completely broke my heart when reading the transcripts. We discover that Wei is suffering the delayed effects of a severe old injury. He is slowly going blind.
It's tragic.
His eyesight is deteriorating day by day, and the medical prognosis is grim. He only has 3 to 5 years left to live.
And this revelation fundamentally recontextualizes his entire character arc. Like, he's rushing to solve the armaments case, acting incredibly recklessly, not out of a desire for glory, but because his time is literally evaporating.
Yeah, he's running out of time.
And tragically, amidst all this chaos, he is genuinely falling in love with Jiayu.
Oh, man.
He's falling for her while knowing with absolute certainty that he cannot stay with her and that soon he won't even be able to see her. He's pushing his failing body to the absolute limit to secure her safety and the safety of the realm before his body shuts down completely.
It gives every single interaction, every battle, this desperate, frantic undercurrent. But just when you think you have a handle on the tragedy, the show drops another pair of massive narrative bombs.
Oh, it just doesn't stop.
It really doesn't. First, an estranged character named Princess Yunzhao returns to the capital and drops the bombshell that Ji isn't even the Grand Tutor's biological daughter.
The layers of identity deception in this show are incredibly dense.
Mm.
Almost no one is who they appear to be.
Exactly.
And that fake daughter revelation leads directly into the mystery of a mythical artifact central to the lore, the Phoenix Heart token.
Which is the namesake of the show, key to the Phoenix Heart.
Right.
We learn through the translated lore that this token was originally given by the late Empress Wenxi right before the previous dynasty fell to the invading northern Qian forces.
Right.
And we, while managing all these other crises we just talked about, is secretly having his intelligence network track anyone who asks about this token.
Which is super suspicious.
Very. And he is also actively spreading a rumor that the lost crown prince Wenxi, the rightful heir to the fallen dynasty, is still alive.
Which has sent the fan community into absolute overdrive analyzing the clues.
I bet.
If you look at the deep dive theories on Reddit, there is a very clear consensus emerging about what Wei is actually doing.
Okay, let me guess. If he is desperately gathering intelligence on the token, hiding his true motives, and seeding rumors about a lost heir, are the fans theorizing that Xiao Wei isn't just a general, but is actually the lost crown prince Wenxi himself?
That is the dominant theory, yes. Fans believe he is the rightful heir, destined to unite the fractured realm, orchestrating this massive, years-long deception to reclaim the throne.
So what does this all mean? When you take a step back and look at the tapestry the show is weaving, it is just breathtaking.
It's a masterclass in plotting.
You have fake daughters, illegitimate sons positioned as regents, dying heroes hiding their encroaching blindness, and forced marriages that evolve into weapons manufacturing alliances. It is just non-stop narrative momentum.
It really is. And it perfectly answers the question we posed at the very beginning. How does a production overcome a massive, highly publicized real-world casting controversy?
Right.
It does so by building a fictional world so intricate, so emotionally resonant, and so relentlessly paced that the audience becomes entirely consumed by the narrative.
We started this deep dive looking at Reddit threads filled with genuine, completely understandable dread about a 28-year-old actor being paired with a 16-year-old actress.
Yeah, it's a deeply uncomfortable industry reality.
It really is. But the journey on screen drags viewers into a staggeringly complex story about weaponized guilt, mohist mechanical engineering, and tragic best friends being manipulated by a terrifying father figure.
It represents a profound duality in media consumption, really. And I think it leaves us with a fascinating final thought to consider for you listening.
Oh, I like this.
Think about the character of Xiao Wei. On screen, he is a man desperately hiding his physical reality, his deteriorating eyesight, and his impending death in order to protect the woman he loves and the kingdom he serves.
Right.
He is wearing a flawless mask of ruthless invincibility to hide a fragile, failing physical truth.
That is such a powerful image.
Meanwhile, off-screen, the audience is relentlessly dissecting the physical reality of the actors themselves. Their numerical ages, their developmental stages, the stark, uncomfortable reality behind the glamorous production. It forces us to ask a really difficult question about how we consume entertainment. When we sit down to watch a beautifully produced historical drama, or any piece of fiction really, are we ever truly able to separate the physical reality of the actors from the tragic, beautiful masks they wear for our entertainment?
Are you seeing the real-world actors, or are you seeing the characters? And can you ever completely unsee either of them once you know the truth?
It's tough.
It really is. That is definitely something to chew on next time you fire up a new series. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning what you watch, and we'll see you next time.